ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिनि व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Drshya Viveka Prakarana is a powerful prakarana presenting a very unique analysis of Drik versus Drshya. So in the first 5 verses, what did we see? The Acharya Vidyaranya Muni presents 3 seers and says the Sakshi, which we know as original consciousness, Paramatma, is the ultimate seer. And wherever there is a mind, a Sukshma Sharira, it is going to illuminate. Yeah, so the mind borrows a sentience and is lighted up, and that is called Chidabhasaha or Chitchaya. Then the mind becomes seer 2. Sakshi is seer 1, let's say. Then the mind begins to see. The mind becomes sentient. Don't we see our emotions popping up in the mind? We see our memories. We see our decisions. We see our mistakes. So the mind is like seer 2. Then the mind pervades the whole physical body, which is like the hardware. And then we have the seer 3. Yeah, the eyes and all the sense organs. They're all data reporters. Yeah, they report Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So they are seer 3. Yeah. But the subtle body only pervades the whole body up to the skin. So that is why we can cut our hair and nails without feeling the pain, because the subtle body does not extend beyond the scalp and up to the nails. Okay. So this Chitihi, that is Drik, illumines the mind. Yeah, just as any mirror will reflect our face. Where there is a mirror, there will be a reflection. Where there is a water body, sun is going to be reflected. So where there is a mind, then there will be Chitchaya. So Chitihi illumines the mind. The mind makes the body Chetana. But what happens when I say I? Which I do I mean? Do I mean the Sakshi I, the mind I, or the sense organ I? I see, mind sees, Sakshi sees. So which I do I mean? All the 3 are mixed up. Yeah. So this is what this Prakarana Grantha is all about. By Viveka, we cognitively separate the seers. So I want to know that I am really the Nityam Satyam Sakshi. And all the other seers, they are relative, they come and go. And they are not the Paramatika Satyam, but they are Mithya. So if I do not discriminate, then I am caught up in the Mithya seers. Yeah. So to enjoy that maturity, confidence, and freedom, I own up this Sakshi Drik. And that Drik was explained as na udeti, na astam gacchati, na kshayam yati, na vridhim yati. And it is changeless, it was never born, and it never goes away. So that was the first 5 verses we saw. Then from 6 to 9, we saw the 3 connections. Yeah, you all have done very good mananam on that. Tadatmyam. So the mind is connected to 3 entities. Yeah, and what is the nature of that connection we saw? The first is the mind and the reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa. What is the connection? Sahajam. Sahajam means effortless, very natural, inseparable, nitya sambandha. That is, wherever there is a mirror, there will be my reflection. And wherever there is a mind, there will be reflected consciousness. So, consciousness will be shining or lighting up that mind. In fact, this is what is called the Jiva, the Jivatma. This is who I am really. The individual is this subtle body lighted up by the reflected consciousness. This is like that iron ball in fire. Iron ball placed in fire, they are so intertwined, mixed. You can't differentiate one from the other. So the mind is like the iron ball placed in the fire of consciousness. It is going to glow and light up. And so the mind has become sentient. So the first connection, Tadatmyam, is Sahajam. Then what is the second entity? What is the connection or Tadatmyam between the mind and this body? So that is Karmajam, author says. And it's very easy to understand that, see, my mind will be identified only with my body and not with your body. Yeah. So the subtle mind and a physical body will be perfectly matched by Ishvara through a set of karmas. And that is the prarabdha karma. In one janma, in one lifetime, the subtle body has to match the physical body in order to exhaust the series of karmas for that birth. So, Acharya says this is karmajam. And this connection is also will continue as long as the prarabdha is there. And then we are going to come to that. The subtle body along with RC will depart just as a tenant's lease is over and he has to vacate the apartment and then he signs up a contract for a new lease. So then the subtle body will enter into the appropriate new fit environment, the body, to continue and exhaust that particular set of karmas. So second connection is also very clear, Tadatmyam. Then coming to the third. The third is, what is the connection between the mind and Sakshi? And here the author says, Bhrantijam. Bhranti means erroneous, Adhyasa. Adhyasa means confusion, mix up. So why is this the problem, Tadatmyam? Because I am really Sakshi. Yeah, I am the Akarta, Abhokta, witnessing awareness, the Sakshi. But once I identify with the mind, I mix up the Sakshi and the mind entities, then what happens? I am caught up in the drama of the mind. One day I'm anxious, another day I'm happy and sad and jealous, and all the movie that's playing out on the mind, I will be caught up in that. So here Vidyaranya says that, look at the space in this room now. No, the space is all pervading and yet it accommodates all the objects, the tables, laptops, our bodies, all are included in space. But is there a connection between space and the objects? Is there a tadatmyam? No. Space is asangaha. That is why space is the best example for understanding the asanga atma. So just as space is never really coming into contact with any objects, so too Vidyaranya says, you are the Sakshi and you are the Paramarthika Satyam, which is a different order of reality and which has nothing to do with the body-mind-sense complex, which belongs to the Vyavaharika reality. So what is the role of Sakshi? If it is asked, the role is to bless. Yeah. And how the Sakshi blesses the bodies and the minds is by lending the sentience. It lights up the minds, and with a particular set of body-mind setup, we are able to exhaust the karmas and pursue the Chaturvidha Purusharthas. And right now also, we are pursuing Shravanam, Maranam in order to fulfill the Moksha Purushartha. So, Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogataan. We have seen that in the Gita. How the wise person will remain as Sakshi. He will remain as pure awareness as the Sakshi Tattvam, and he knows that he is endowed with the mind, but he will not go along with the mind. The mind says, come, let's do this. He will say, no, what is the need? Let's do that. Don't do this, don't do that. He will not give it too much importance than it deserves. So this Viveka is what we are studying in this Prakarana. This is called discriminative analysis. Drshya, Viveka, Prakarana. So why we should study these three Tadatmyams and be clear about Drik and Drishya is to avoid confusion and avoid the mix-up, the adhyasa, and to be very clear, what is Drik? Drik is only ekam, Drik. Natu Drishyate. And everything else is anatma. Nothing but atma, anatma, viveka here. Now, from verse 10 onwards, we saw a change of topic. Now the Acharya is going to analyze the mind itself, this subtle body. So the subtle body that goes through the three avasthas, that was explained in the 10th shloka. Let us look at it again. I think I started that in the last session. So the 10th shloka talks about the three avasthas. Now, who is experiencing the avasthas? Atma, Sakshi, or the mind, RC? Clearly, mind, RC, right? The mind goes through the avasthas and not the Atma. Because Atma is avasthatraya Sakshi. It is the witness, and the witness does not do anything. Yeah, it simply shines. Let us look at the 10th verse again. Ahankaralaye suptau bhavete hopyachetanaha ahankara vikasardhaha swapna sarvastu jagaraha. Ahankaralaye suptau bhave dehaha api achetanaha ahankara vikasardhaha sarvaha Swapnaha sarvaha tu jagaraha. So this is explaining the three states. Sometimes we come across the term, the three states of consciousness. We should not get confused because avasthas do not belong to consciousness. For us, consciousness is Drik. Drik is Sakshi. And Sakshi does not go through the avasthas, but the mind does. So what is this shloka saying? Ahankara laye sati supta. So supta here is sushupti avastha. Now we all are very familiar. There are the three states. Waking state, like now, and which is the maximum state. We are perhaps awake for 16 hours in a day. And then Swapna is the dream state, and then the mind gets tired of dreaming also and then falls into deep sleep. And that is called Sushupti. So, Ahankara laye supta. Now, in the Sushupti avastha, what happens? This Ahankara is the I notion. Yeah, this I notion, the sense of individuality, I am so and so, the I notion that is identified with this body. Yeah. So I say I am female, I am 5 feet 6 inches, I am this, I am that. This is the I notion, ahankara. Aham karoti iti ahankara. So what happens to the ahankara in the sushupti avastha? Layam. Layam is like a mini pralaya. Every day we go into a kind of temporary death situation, right? So the whole subtle body is withdrawn into the seed-like causal state. That is called layam. And so then what happens? The mind is not available. And if the mind has switched off, there is no RC. It is not sentient anymore. So there is no I notion. That is called Ahankara Laya. So Ahankara Laye Sati Suptau. Then what happens in this situation? Dehaha api achetanaha bhavet. So this body that was lighted up by the mind, it becomes insentient, like a log of wood. So at night when we are in Sushupti, then, somebody can come and shake us up, but we will not know anything. When you go out in the city, sometimes we see people soundly asleep in the busiest of places, in bus stands, on the roads, divider roads between very busy place or marketplace. They are so soundly asleep, they don't hear the horns and the traffic around them. Why? Because completely resolved. The subtle body is resolved in the deep sleep state and there is no ahankara for the time being. Time being resolved. And so when something bites us in the deep sleep, we will not know it. Yeah, when somebody comes and calls us, wake up, we don't. That is the Sushupti Avastha, the causal state. So the body itself is not conscious in that state. And then there is no I means what? There is no world. There is no Vyavahara, no time, no space, no I, me, you. So this is the wonderful state of relaxation. Even science is saying we should all get, a few couple of hours of deep sleep. Because in this state, the prana alone is flowing, because karma is not over. So the physiological functions continue. The prana, and then subconsciously there is a lot of archiving done and rearrangement and repair work. Everything is done only in the Sushupti Avastha. That is the first line. Then the second line, Ahankara Vikasartha Swapnaha. So, but when, the Sushupti, we can't be in Sushupti forever. So the karma has to continue. So the karma will make the subtle body come out of the causal shariram and come to the dream state. Swapnaha. What happens in the dream state? Ahankara is Ardha Vikasaha. Now the I notion is partially awake, partially manifest, half awake. That is why Ardha Vikasa is there. Now why this Ardha Vikasa is, in the dream state, although, the mind is awake now, partially awake, yeah, but there is no physical world available. The organs are switched off, the actual organs, yeah. So there is a dream ahankara, there is dream time, dream space, dream vyavahara, dream hunger, dream food, all dream transactions. But where is it all happening? In the mind. So it's a very subjective internal world played out in the mind. The mind itself becomes ahankara, mind becomes the objects, mind transacts between the two. Everything happens in the mind, and this is why we say pratibhasika reality. Pratibhasika reality. Because the mind is now available in the dream state, it is enjoying the reflected sentience. The mind is lighted up, then the lighted up mind will begin to transact. No, the Upanishads say there are no real elephants and real chariots and real people and real money, real transactions in the dream. Yeah, it is all the mind stuff. And that is why the ahankara, when it is partially awake, vikasa, ardha vikasa, that state is called swapnaha. And we know the names also for this. In the Sushupti Avastha, it is called, sleeper is called Prajnaha or Ishvaraha also. Because in the Sushupti Avastha, I, the Swamini, is not there. But am I there? Yes. That is, I, the Sakshi, the pure consciousness is there eternally. And what is it witnessing? No world. It is witnessing the absence of experience in the Sushupti Avastha. Now, in the dream, as a dreamer, the dreamer is called Taijasaha. The word Tejas means shining one, right? So, in the dream also, the mind is shining. by the borrowed sentience, and the mind projects a dream world. So in the dreams, we are all what? We are all Taijasas, no doubt, but we are all Bhoktas. Bhoktas is some karma is getting exhausted in the dream also. Yeah, but we are not Kartas. Why? Because in the dream, I am not deliberately taking any action. It's kind of forced, I can choose my dreams. I cannot choose a very beautiful dream. I'm having Guru Darshanam, yeah, and then dip in the Triveni Sangam. I cannot choose. It's not in my hands. So because there is no willful deliberation, there is no karta. But there is a bhokta element in the dream. So that is what Acharya says, Vikasa Arthaha Swapnaha. Then finally, Jagraha. Sarvaha. Sarvaha to Jagraha means now when the individual is fully awake, then everything is available for the individual. The body is awake and the sense organs are active, the mind is active. Mind anyway is active because it has borrowed sentience, and the whole world, Vyavahara, can begin. And this waker is the Vishwaha. Karta Bhokta Vishwaha. And this is the Vyavaharika reality because now it is not only internal in the mind, but it is in the external world. So the whole world, that is Ishvara Srishti, yeah, there is interaction, and this is when the one is fully awake. Yeah. Now here Vidyaranya Muni says these three avasthas, we go through them cyclically every day. Yeah, every day. But all these three avasthas belong to the mind and not to the Atma. Because Atma is the invariable constant, the light shining through all the avasthas, and it is the Sakshi. Avastha Traya Sakshi. Mandukya Upanishad calls the Atma as Turiyam. Turiyam is the fourth. The fourth that shines in all the three avasthas is the Turiyam Atma. And such an Atma is now fully awake, Karta, Bhokta. And Kaivalya Upanishad, we saw the mantra which said, such a Jivaha now Puratraye Kridati. That is, the three avasthas are like a Pura, a city. And in the three cities, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, the Jiva is as though sporting. And the witness, Sakshi, is having a nice time, witnessing the sport, the Jiva playing in all the three avasthas. So it is Ahankara is doing the rounds. So the shloka is only to clarify this, that you, the Sakshi, are only the witnessing Akarta, Abhokta, Asangaha, Sakshi. But the mind is going through the rounds. Then in the Dakshinamurti Stotram, we had that shlokan, Balyadishvapi Jagradadishu Tatha Sarvasvavasthasvapi Vyavritta Svanavattamanamahanityanta Sada. Balyadishu Avasthasu Api. That is, not only is the Ahankara going through the three avasthas daily, but also is the Sakshi is witnessing Balya Avastha, Yuva Avastha, Vriddha Avastha, all these stages of life, the ashramas. No? In the photo album, don't I point out? Oh, that's me, the young boy who passed 10th grade, then graduated, then married, then became a parent, grandparent, I. So that is the invariable constant I. So that is the verse number 10, which just clarifies that how the mind, Ahankara, goes through the three avasthas. Let's see the 11th shloka. So these three shlokas, 10, 11 and 12 are somewhat similar. Only some technical difference we'll find here and there. Antakarana vrittischa chitichhayaikyamagata vasana kalpayet swapne bodhe kshair Vishayan bahihi, bodhe kshair vishayan bahihi. Now here, antahkarana vrittihi cha. Chitichaya ek aikyam agata. Vasanaha kalpayet swapne. Bodhe akshehi vishayan bahihi. So earlier, in one shloka, we saw how the mind has two components. If you remember, there will be a vritti, that is the aham vritti. Aham vritti is I notion, ahankara. Then there are other vrittis, memories, yeah, whatever we perceive, object vrittis, and other notions and conclusions, decisions, emotions, they were all put into idam, right? So aham plus idam is constantly playing around in the mind that is lighted up by Sakshi Chaitanyam. So here we have to remember that ultimately what antakaranam, the mind is only vrittis, right? If the mind is imagined to be a lake, what will there be in the lake? The movement of water. There'll be waves, foam, small waves, big waves, movement. So like that, the mind is a bundle of vrittis. But there is a aham vritti first, which has to be there. I notion. And then it is like, I like this flower. I have to do the laundry. I am going here. I want to do that. I don't want to do this. So aham plus idam will constitute vyavahara. So here, the first word, look at, this is what it says. Antakaranam is nothing but vritti. Now, whatever I perceive with my sense organs, if I hear a sound, there is a sound vritti in the mind. If I read a book, there is a book vritti. Then there's a content of the book vritti. So whatever is experienced through the jnani indriyani, they are all vrittis in the antakaranam. So that is what the first line says. Antakarana vrittischa. All the vrittis in this antakarana, they are all lighted up. They are lighted up because of the entry of chichaya. Yeah, agata. Chitichaya aikyam agata. So the vrittis of the mind, they are known because they are all lighted up by the consciousness. Okay. Then, now third line, vasanaha kalpayet swapne. And now what? So the mind has a lot of vrittis. Now what has happened in the waking state? Whatever I experience in the waking state, not only in this janma, but countless previous janmas, they have all got recorded. There were vrittis, corresponding vrittis, and those vrittis experienced in the mind have left behind vasanas. Vasanas are like samskaras, tendencies, impressions left in the chittam. And that is why we find that, in the same situation, two people will react very differently. One person gets very upset, something is not available. Other person is very cool. Why? Because the vasanas are different in both the people. So one person will have a strong vasana as an alcoholic. Alcohol vasana is very strong. Another one, the anger samskara is very strong. And a third one will be miserliness. That will be the fourth will be a lot of devotion will be there. Viveka. So these are the vasanas left behind in the mind. So look at the second line. Vasanaha kalpayet swapne. In the dream state, what happens? The mind, this antakarana vrittihi kalpayet projects what? These vasanas. So whatever we have recorded in the waking state, we may have argued with the boss or with some family members, whatever, the sukham and dukham, in the sleep and in the dream time, they will be projected. They will be projected differently, according to the dream logic. But vasanaha kalpayet swapne. Then what happens? Then bodhe. Here only the dream and the waking state are analyzed. Bodhe means when we are awake. Akshehi Vishayan Bahihi. So those Vishayan Bahihi, the external objects, Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha, these Vishayan, Akshehi, by the Jnanendriyani, they are received in the Bodha stage when we are awake. So, you see, ultimately, even in the waking state, the mind only is experiencing the world. The world is not outside the mind. In the dream, definitely we can understand the world is in the mind. Yeah, the mind projects. But even in the waking state, I see the world as my mind sees it. So whatever I perceive is really what I'm experiencing in the mind. Okay. So here it is just talking about how in the waking state the ahankara transacts with the world, yeah, and it receives the data via the jnanendriyani and responds to the karmendriyani. And in the whole process, vasanas will be there in the mind. And these vasanas will be projected in the dream stage. And in the Sushupti, of course, the vasanas are as though frozen. There is no activity. Temporarily frozen in the deep sleep state. So that is why, in Janaka, the king, great Janaka, was very learned. And he once asked Yajnavalkya, the sage, he says that last night I dreamt that I was a beggar. Yeah, but now when I woke up this morning, I'm back in the palace. Yeah, I'm not a beggar. So which of the two is real? Am I the beggar of the dream of last night, or am I the king Janaka in the waking state, Bodha stage? And Yajnavalkya says, you are neither. You are neither the beggar nor the king. You are Turiyam Atma Sakshi. You are Avasthatraya Sakshi. So these Vishwaha, Taijasaha and Prajnaha, they all have roles to play, exhausting karma. But really, through this discriminative understanding, we want to arrive at the Sakshi Tattva. Okay, let's chant this verse once again. Antakarana vrittischa chitichhayaikyamagata vasana kalpayet swapne bodhe kshair vishayan bahihi. Next, number 12. Again about the manas. Manoham krityupadanam lingamekam jadatmakam avasthatrayamanveti jayate mriyate tatha Manoham krityupadanam lingamekam jadatmakam avasthatrayamanveti jayate mriyate tatha. Manaha ahankriti upadanam lingam ekam jadatmakam avasthatrayam anveti jayate mriyate tatha. So here this verse is also going to talk about the mind. See how powerful the mind is? Because the mind is the subtle link between the body and the world on one side and Sakshi, Atma, Chaitanyam on the other side. So the mind can drag us towards the world or elevate us to the Sakshi, pure consciousness. It is all in the mind really. Manaha eva karanam bandha mokshayoho manishyanam. So here the shloka number 12 says Manaha ahankriti upadanam lingam. Upadanam is material cause. Yeah. Just as gold is the material cause for ornaments. Upadanam. So here Acharya says, see, manas is the mind and ahankriti is ahankara. Now, the mind we have studied in Tattva Bodha has fourfold functions. There is only one mind, but four functions. Manas is the emotional faculty, Buddhi is the determining faculty, Chittam is the recall memory database, and Ahankara, we know very well, is the I notion, right? So here, Manas and Ahankriti, what is the Upadanam? What is the material cause for Manas and Ahankara? Lingam. New word maybe for us. Linga Shariram. You know, Sukshma Shariram, another word is Linga Shariram. Now, what is a Linga? A Linga is an indicator, is a revealer. For example, when I see Sindur, on a lady's forehead and Mangala Sutram, then I infer that these are the Linga, that she is a Sumangali. That is called Linga. And if you see an ochre-clad Sadhu Baba with Rudraksha, the color and the Rudraksha are Linga, that they are sadhus. Yeah. Or if I see smoke coming from somewhere, then even without seeing fire, the smoke is a linga to reveal the presence of fire. Yeah, it indicates that there is fire. So here, Acharya says that the linga shariram, the subtle body, is the indicator for Atma. Yeah. The same in Kena Upanishad, again we come to that question by that intelligent student, Keneshitam Patati Preshitam Manaha. The student asks the Guru, how does the mind think and analyze, compare, contrast, feel, decide and judge when it is subtle matter? And the Guru says it is because of the mind, eye of the eye, ear of the ear, and so on. So here the Acharya says the Linga Shariram, the subtle body, is the Upadanam for Manas and Ahankara. Sometimes we interchange the two. We say Linga Shariram is the subtle body. Yeah, but here there is a distinction. Because why in Tattva Bodha we saw that how many components are there in the Linga Shariram? 17. Pancha Jnanendriyani, Pancha Karmendriyani, Manas, Buddhi, Chittam, Ahankara. So either you take 4 components 19 or 17, you can include Chittam with Manas and Buddhi and Ahankara. Okay, 17 or 19 components. So that subtle body or the Linga Shariram, which is derived from the Pancha Mahabhutas, is the Upadanam, the Karanam for the Manas and Ahankara. Okay, and that is Ekam, that one whole subtle body, that is Jadatmakam. Jada, we know, Jada means inert. Now the subtle body is like software. And do you know any software that can operate without power? No. Hardware, software are both Jadam. So the physical body and subtle body, which is called Lingam here, are really Jadam. So that Ekam Jadatmakam Lingam, that is the Upadanam, the material cause for Manas and Ahankara. And we know now that Linga Shariram is lighted up by the sentience, borrowed sentience, and the Chidabhasa and all that. Then, now this shloka is going to talk about that this Linga Shariram or the subtle body, Avasthatrayam Anveti. Anveti means gains. Gains. Same thing as earlier. Yeah, the subtle body. See, earlier the Acharya talked about the mind going through the 3 avasthas. Now the only difference is the subtle body called Linga Shariram in this shloka. This goes through the Avasthatrayam. Avasthatrayam Anveti. And not only that, the Linga Shariram Jayate is born, Mriyate and dies. Now here we have to see what this means. Now we all know from the Gita and other studies that what is really death? Death is when the prarabdha karma for one life is exhausted and this Linga Shariram or subtle body departs, leaves behind the physical body. Then the subtle mind, along with the RC, the subtle body, travels where? Travels to the next environment, to the new body. And the entry of the subtle body in a new environment is called birth, and the departing from the old body is called death. Yeah? But really speaking, there is no death. Yeah, because the subtle body is only traveling. Yeah. So if you say the physical body dies, yeah, that is also not true, because the physical body is recycled back to nature. Yeah, it goes back to the Pancha Mahabhutas in the Sukshma form. So really there is no destruction. There is only change. In the Gita, what did we see that shloka? Avyaktaadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Krishna says in chapter 2 that all beings, we were all unmanifest in the beginning. Sukshma form, subtle form, and then we became Vyaktam. We were born for some time, and then again Avyaktam. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you can't kill Bhishma and Drona because we are all Avyaktam. Now we are Vyaktam, and then we go back to Avyaktam. And then again we come back to Vyaktam. So this is the Jiva Yatra. No? Subtle body keeps traveling from one body to the next, to the next, to the next, until what? Until Jnanam. So when the Jnani case alone, the subtle body does not travel. And it will go back to the Tanmatras. Yeah, and then the physical body is again recycled back to nature. So either way, there is no real destruction or death. There is a divine recycling, and Atma, of course, is na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhuyaha ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha na hanyate hanyamani sharire. Chapter 2 that we began yesterday has all these shlokas. You know, another very good, beautiful analogy is that of discarding the clothes. Vasam sijirnani yatha vihaya anyani navani naroparani grinhati. So when the karma is over, then the jivatma, that is the subtle body, along with the sentience, has to vacate the apartment, has to discard the clothes. Yeah, the clothes which are old. Now, that does not mean the subtle body will quit at an advanced age. You know, when we read the news today, look what happens every day, stampedes, mid-air collision. It's all can be explained only as daivam, as karma, group karma. So, but the subtle body, you know, the jivatma continues the jiva yatra, yeah? And gets new clothes. Bhagavad Gita says new clothes is new body, new environment, new family. So that is what here it says, that this linga shariram, subtle body, anveti is gains the three avasthas. That is Sushupti, Swapna, Jagrat avastha. And we say that this subtle body takes birth in a new body, Jayate, and when the subtle body leaves, it is Mriyate. Yeah, Mriyate, and depending on the karma, it will travel. Yeah. So now, if somebody, you know, says that, why should I study and do Shravanam, Mananam and gain knowledge? I'm open to be born again and again. I will do seva in the world and I will continue to be a mumukshu. So then the Acharya says, no. Samyak sarati iti samsaraha. Samsara is what? Sukha dukha mishritam. It's like that roller coaster ride in the entertainment parks. You know, sometimes it is very smooth and sometimes, you know, the bodies are shaking violently. So there is sukham, there is dukham, we are tossed and turned. And so, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, if it continues, then, you know, it is a big challenge for the mind. So, that is why Krishna says, Asanga shastrena dhidena chitva. So we better to cut the tree of samsara and with the axe of viveka and asangatvam. Otherwise, we will be jumping from one branch to the next. Yeah, with every birth, we'll be perched on a different branch. And in the Mundaka also, we saw the analogy of the two birds. Yeah, the samsari bird is enjoying not only the sweet fruits but the bitter fruits perched on the tree. Whereas the Sakshi bird enjoys the freedom, the contentment, the peace of pure existence. So that is why we are studying such granthas and to be free of all this. Now the question arises also that, so now this section is over, the analysis of the mind and the connection with the avasthas. Now, so we see that the ahankara is the pramata, is the karta bhokta, yeah, is this one who goes through the three avasthas, yeah, who is partially awake in swapna, who is totally asleep in sushupti, and fully awake in the jagrat avastha. And sakshi is the pure chaitanyam, witnessing awareness, changeless. No? Now, why do I not know this fact that I am the sakshi? Yeah. Why do I have to go through all this janma after janma and through the avasthas and balya, the stages of life? Yeah. Really, I am the sakshi. Why do I not know this? Now, in the next few shlokas, Acharya mentions that the reason we do not know this is due to the power of Maya. Maya is the creative power of Ishvaraha. So in the next shloka, we are going to see the force of Maya has two powers, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti. Very beautiful, famous definition of Maya is given in the next shloka. And how the power of Maya conceals the Sakshi Chaitanyam. And what does it do? It projects Vikshepa, projects the world of Nama Rupa Kriyas. So the whole Jagat, is it not a superimposition on Sakshi? To come back to this, the pot is a superimposition on clay. But do I see clay? I see pot. So we are caught up in the Nama Rupa Srishti, which is a Adhyasita, superimposition on the Sakshi Chaitanyam. Just like in my dream, that's why we analyze dream, because dream is a very powerful Drishtanta in Vedanta. In the dream, do I know I am the waker? No. In the dream, I may not even be Swamini. Maybe I'm a lawyer, defending somebody's case, an accused. So in the dream, I do not know I'm really the waker. Yeah. So there is avarana. My true status is covered. And there is vikshepa. I am now, caught up in this dream. Dream sukham, dream dukham. This is the nature of the world. And this is the role of Maya. Twofold roles. It conceals avarana and it projects. Now the projection is Srishti. How the subtle universe, the Pancha Mahabhutas and the gross universe, they all manifest, and along with the jivas and the karmas. But what is concealed is that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And let us look at this shloka briefly today, and then we will stop. Shakti-dvayam hi mayaya, Shakti-dvayam hi mayaya, Vikshepa vritti-rupakam, Vikshepa vritti-rupakam, Vikshepa shaktir-lingadi, Vikshepa shaktir-lingadi, Brahmandantam jagat srajet, Brahmandantam jagat srajet. So now, Acharya is going to introduce the twofold power of Maya and also mention that this is the cause of samsara. Samsarasya karanam is, firstly, the truth, Paramarthika Satyam is concealed. And then the Vyavaharika Satyam is Vikshepa is done, projected. And then we are also caught up in this Vyavaharika reality and caught up in this Namarupa Kriyatmakam Jagat. Yeah. And this is the whole purpose of Viveka and Vairagyam is to remove this adhyasa cognitively. Yeah. So the word Ishvara Srishti is very beautiful. But even as I'm experiencing Ishvara Srishti, what is happening? There is a Jiva Srishti. Jiva Srishti is, there is a notional samsara in my mind. Like what Arjuna is going through. The battle is to be fought. As a warrior, Arjuna is perfectly capable of winning the war for the Pandavas. But now that Ishvara Srishti arrangement, the external arrangement, is viewed differently in the mind of Arjuna. And a huge problem is created because of Jiva Srishti. Yeah, Jiva Srishti is that my own mental projection. And then we know how Krishna removes that Jiva Srishti, the veil of ignorance, and then reveals, what is to be done. And also not only what is to be done, but who you are. And that is the purpose of our study. Okay, so we will take up this new topic is beginning here. And the new topic is Tatpadam. So far, what did we see up to 12 shlokas? All Tvam, right? Tvam Padam. Who is the Jiva? And the mind is enjoying sentience and the connection of the mind with the three entities, RC and body and Sakshi. And then how the mind goes through the three states, Avasthatrayam. All this belongs to the Tvam Padam category, the Jiva. Now, a few verses briefly, Acharya is going to introduce the Tatpadam about Ishvara and the power of Maya, that is the creative power, which we will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.